Time now for another edition of the Nice Guy Game. This is a recurring series I'm going to be bringing up now here on the program where I get to talk about my own experience. And I relate it to many of the people in the audience that are out there that understand the nice guy thing. So here's what I'm talking about. You know, people are very nice sometimes and to a fault. And that nice guys, they always talk about finishing last because there's a sense of inauthenticity. There's a sense of like the person's not being real. They're just acting a part, playing nice instead of being their true self. I get that part. So this is what's being said. I had this for a long time. And, if you read a lot of books, they tell you how it's been something where you were kind of brought up that way, which is something that kind of happened. And, that's exactly what happened to me. So I've gone through, and I'm still recovering from it, and I'm learning a whole lot of trying not to do those kind of things. But it's been tough. And I'm been going through the books on Audible, trying to go ahead and get a better idea of what not to be and to be much better. Of course, one of the books I listened to that really helped out a lot, that really snapped my mind off like that of knowing what I've been doing wrong. Calling it the nice guy syndrome is Robert Glover. Dr. Robert Glover, and the book No More Mr. Nice Guy. So it's been very good. Now, there's another book I'm reading right now from Dr. Aziz Gazipura, who's a psychologist, and the book's called Not Nice: Stop People Pleasing, Staying Silent, and Feeling Guilty, and Start Speaking Up, Saying No, Asking Boldly, and Unapologetically Being Yourself. I'm about halfway through that book. In this series, sometimes I will go ahead and talk about things where I'll be applying my own personal experience. I'm not talking about this like an expert. I'm doing it to air grievances. I figured I want to have some place to go ahead and bring this up, and I want to see if other people kind of feel the same way I do. Because you don't understand, you may not know this, but people in radio, it's just like comedians, just like anybody else. We have our flaws. Hey, just for me to be on radio to go ahead and be able to talk, project myself, offer some witticism, some funny, some information, some education, just some insight, my expertise, my experience. I do a lot of good with what I do for my career, but I'm a guy that's single and never been married. And it's been like that because I've really chosen it that way. It wasn't necessarily like that all my life. Like in my 20s and my 30s, I probably didn't make it so much. But again, I self-destructed a lot of things. And what I want to do more than anything is I don't want to act like I'm trying to mope here. I actually want to just give some things as some insiders to those that might be interested in saying, you know what? I act like this too. And I have to stop myself. I got to turn this around. Because more than ever, guys are getting bombarded for not being allowed to be alpha males, for being the inner caveman we are. We're not... we're getting the whole word about toxic masculinity, as if there's something wrong with that. And guys are being very much trying to just play up to women. And it doesn't matter if women, I'm not here to blame the women. It's just the guys need to be able to hold their own, and they need to be able to be steadfast in who they are. They can't put beauty on a pedestal. They just can't make promises they can't keep. The receipts are going to come back on them. And to know, if you don't even realize it, subconsciously, you need to know what kind of damage you're doing to somebody by acting like a nice guy. If you're trying to date a woman or a guy, for that matter, it goes both ways. If you are being the nice guy, it might feel good for somebody for a while, but then it's going to ultimately lead to some damage. Emotional damage, who knows? Some cases, physical damage. I've heard about it. Now, one of the things I've been learning as well, more than anything else, is I've had conversations with thousands of women online doing dating sites and going on dates myself, lots of first dates. Now, I haven't done a lot of first dates in a long time, but I know more than enough to realize, okay, this is what I've been doing wrong. And so I get to play it back in my head. And there were a couple of relationships that could have gone somewhere, but I destroyed it because it was my choice, because I was being very selfish. And to be honest, I learned something the other day from a girl I was talking to on a dating site, that with nice guys, we realize that The only kind of women that are really going to stay around and tolerate our bullshit are the ones that are completely submissive. The ones that are completely willing to say, okay, I still love this person and all their flaws, and they can beat me down. They can emotionally drain me. They can take their anger out at me, take their frustration out at me, and I'm still going to be there for them, even if it hurts me ultimately. And there was a girl that told me about that, where she told me to the point that she was getting sexually assaulted by the guy she was with, forced to dress a certain way, forced to not spend time with her family and others. A completely sociopathic, controlling guy. That's what she was. She was with the guy for 3 years. Amazing she even told me about it, but the truth was, I could understand where she was coming from, because, she was still trying to ask herself, was she doing enough to please him, to make him happy? Because she was a people pleaser. She still is. But to now, she's much more hesitant. Obviously, she now has a little bit of a different feel to things, so she doesn't want to get herself caught up. So the idea is now, she was asking, was she doing enough for that guy? And I'm telling her, you were doing more than enough. You lit the fuse to make him want to stay. Because any nice guy out there, I guarantee you, if you had a girl that was groveling all over your feet, that was completely grateful and just out of her way pleasing you, trying to get your attention, always giving you the attention you wanted, always being there for you, you would stay with a girl like that. And she only looked at her after your needs like a peasant? Yeah, you would totally keep a girl like that. Especially if you thought she was cute. Especially if you thought she was just, she lived to serve you. Totally subservient. You would have stayed around for her. That's the truth. That's how severe things can get. And again, he took complete advantage of it, took her totally for granted. And like I said, got to the point where she didn't want to consent to having sex with him, and he forced himself on her on a daily basis. Very sad. I'm glad to say that she's actually gotten herself to a better place now, and she moved on with relationships, but again, she's trying to figure it out herself. Just realize she wants to move past that time. I totally understand that. And for me to kind of understand her point of view, I wanted to learn about that. We got to this conversation a long way around here, but we did. And so that's one of the things right now that I thought it shouldn't go this far. And we should talk on a regular basis about why things shouldn't go so far. So I'm going to go ahead and offer a recurring series. It will not be something that you'll have a consistent thing. It'll be within the When I'm Not Podcasting realm of programming, which will be called the Nice Guy Game. And obviously, girls will get the same feeling of this, because this does not just apply for men. It also applies for women. Pretty obvious of that. And I have a lot of experiences I can go ahead and bring up to the table here, which will be something that obviously people like hearing about dating and relationships here on this channel. So I'm going to keep talking about it. But I also want to inject my own personal experiences here, and not just talk about stories that I learned about that are out there. Because obviously we've done a couple of stories where we've talked about the nice guy. Remember the guy from The Bachelorette? That was a very solid example of the nice guy. We need to stop being that. Collectively as men, there are just men that didn't get that experience to go through that. And I don't know why. Some of us are mama's boys, things like that. And also because we've been afraid to ask for what we want. We've been afraid of confrontation, a lot of things. And a lot of these books that I read about on Audible say the same thing. But there's a difference as well when you get personal testimonials. That's what I'm here to offer you, along with the insight that I keep learning about myself, because I am still a project in process. I am still learning about myself. There's so much more to figure out, even at my age. So I'm not stopped learning. I've not stopped learning. I'm going to continue going forward. So anyway, stay tuned right here to When I'm Not Podcasting while I offer you the Nice Guy Game. We'll have that as a recurring series right here on one of the next episodes of When I'm Not Podcasting. I'll talk to you next time.